So who should play the next James Bond? There's a lot of candidates that we hear talked about over and over again. Somebody like Henry Cavill, who I think would be kind of right for the part, but probably not very interesting. And then you have somebody like Idris Elba, who is a little bit more of a curveball, but again, probably not that convincing. I think it's fun to pretend that he's not about 15 years too old to play James Bond, but he's one of those actors people throw his name out for everything. Oh, he should play James Bond. No, he should play Batman. No, he should play Harry Potter. I mean, it's just his name's always out there, regardless of if he's really the right age or type for the part. And he really excels more at playing villains. Like his most interesting characters are Stringer Bell or Shere Khan, even the villain in Hobbs and Shaw. And when you see him play a straight protagonist, like in the Suicide Squad, the box office is kind of low. It's just not as interesting as watching him play a villain. Then you have somebody like Tom Hardy, who I think is probably better off, again, playing a villain in a James Bond series. Perhaps the guy who trains Bond and then betrays him by joining a terrorist group or defecting to Russia or something like that, or an ex-Russian gangster who's now an oligarch with arms deals, or I could see him honestly playing a villain more than I could Bond himself. Then there's other people that have been mentioned, like Tom Hiddleston, who's probably a little too weird and weaselly, and I didn't believe that watching The Night Manager. I thought he'd be perfect as Bond after watching that miniseries, but I've come to think that maybe he wouldn't be the best. Other candidates that would be terrible, like James Norton or Taron Egerton, I hear them come up quite a bit, but I really believe Richard Madden is absolutely perfect for this part. Number one, if you go back and rewatch Game of Thrones, you realize that you kind of missed Robb Stark the first time you watched the series. He outacts Kit Harington in charisma and star power and acting ability and commanding the screen. Kit Harington's not interesting to watch at all. Jon Snow's probably the most boring character in the series, but Richard Madden really holds your attention the second time, even knowing that he's doomed and knowing that he's going to die, which is impressive. The Bodyguard is a miniseries that is like an audition for James Bond and shows you how good he would be. He's got the swagger, the physicality, the sex appeal, the vulnerability. He can seduce an older woman and also kind of hate her at the same time. You're constantly unsure of his motives. In Rocket Man, even though he's a villain and also gay, he's got this great just physical ability. You know, you believe he could seduce people from Elton John to his boss. And also he's the right ethnicity. The part in the books has a Scottish father and a Swedish mother. Only Sean Connery has actually been Scottish in terms of the actors that have played him. We think of Sean Connery as the best of the Bonds. He was the best of the Bonds. This would be only the second time a Scottish actor has ever actually played James Bond. So because he's got the dark eyes, the dark hair, looks great in a suit, the swagger, physicality, the vulnerability, he's got the right mix of everything we would come to expect for a great James Bond.